Welcome everybody to the Football Italia live stream previewing the Derby della Madonnina. I'm here with Lorenzo Bertoni. He's live from the San Siro. I'm Wayne Gerard live at the the Milan Club in New York, getting my games twisted. Lorenzo, what's going on? Tell me, how you feeling?
It's all good. Hello, Wayne. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you two right behind me, which is of course, the only Milan sector tonight, because it's an away fixture on paper for the Rossoneri. But yeah, a lot of excitement. I've been around the stadium for the last hour and a half, and so many fans from all over the world. It's really so cool to be here to cover this game with you guys, and yeah, hopefully it's going to be an exciting one. How's the atmosphere over there?
Yeah, it's starting to get going right now. I think it's going to get absolutely jam-packed. You can see a couple fans in right now. This is the Football Factory in Midtown Manhattan, right behind the Empire State Building. And there's energy. I think there's also a little bit of apprehension. There's like, what's the starting lineup going to be? Is this Fonseca's last match? And well, let's see what happens, right? And we're going to go into starting lineups. We'll see. Lorenzo, outside the stadium, though, do you see Inter Milan fans being a little bit more confident than usual? They could make it 7 matches in a row now where they win this derby. What is the climate like? What's the air?
They are pretty confident. They are 6 derbies in a row. They know the Milan situation isn't easy at all. Fonseca could be sacked if he loses this game as well. So it's a tricky situation for Milan. It's an ideal situation for Inter, but we know that whoever gets to the derby in an ideal situation, it's never the best thing. Marco Materazzi released an interview with Gazzetta earlier this week saying the same thing, saying whoever gets to the derby in the worst shape, it's usually the team that's going to win in the end. So let's see how it goes. I have a little concern regarding Milan because, we've been following on Football Italia, the press conferences, the pre-match interviews and everything. He said he wants to keep the ball, but then in reality, he's taking a midfielder out, adding a center forward because he's playing with 4-4-2 tonight with Morata and Tammy Abraham up front. So one less midfielder, one more striker. On paper, it's more difficult to keep the ball this way, but let's see.
I think that's an interesting move by Fonseca because you have 2 strikers who, they're going to press, and they could be like these traditional old school center forwards who play 1-1. But who's the holdup forward in that? How is this? This is going to be a tactic we haven't seen since like the early 2000s with 2 traditional center forwards. So who do you think is going to be that guy who gets the ball up the pitch for the Rossoneri?
Well, it's hard to say. Perhaps sometimes could be Morata, sometimes could be Abraham. Of course, not watching training session, it's a little bit hard to predict. But Morata is able to do a little bit of both. Maybe Tammy Abraham, after the injury, is not so able to do that. Not that much, but it really depends on what he tried in the training sessions. Of course. Lot of attention on the wingers, lot of attention on Leao, lot of attention on Pulisic, and a lot of attention on the tactic as well, because Inter, they've been dominating the last 6 derbies, playing mostly on counter-attacks against Inter. I think there's nothing bad in saying that. Just waiting for them to lose the ball and then counter-attack very quickly. It's something they did against Manchester City as well as on Wednesday. And it's tactic that works out. And Fonseca doesn't seem willing to change his tactics. So on paper, we're going to see something similar tonight. But again, the derby is always something special. It's always something different from usual games, even from big games like Milan, Liverpool, or Inter, Manchester City. So let's see, because it's a big game already for both teams this season. And how's the atmosphere over there? Are Milan fans confident, not so confident? What do you feel about Fonseca? How is that?
I think everyone's kind of feeling a little nervous going into this one. Like those reasons you mentioned, right? Is it going to be Fonseca's last match? How is his team going to play? You said Fonseca is unwilling to change these tactics. And now we see a team, I think they've acquired talent. They're still talented, but some of these players, even that have come in the last year, not just this past summer, but the last 2 years, like is Reinders a 10 or is he a deep-lying center midfielder? So I think there's a lot of questions just about the squad in general as to like, what are we doing? What's the game plan here? And I think that Rossoneri fans missed that a little bit from Pioli, because this was someone, at least you might not have known exactly what his football philosophy was, which sometimes seemed a little bit lost, but you were confident in your starting lineup. You were confident that guys like Leao could go out there and make a difference and be difference makers, in comparison to what we see now with like players like Theo Hernandez having issues with Fonseca and Leao. So I think that these fans, they definitely feel that. And we're just under 45 minutes in, and we've got fans coming in, but it's not like this. It's not like people are coming down and screaming. It's not like an artificial atmosphere. I think that people really understand the situation, and you can even see that in the way that people are acting at a big club like this. So you expect, like, I would say in about 5-10 minutes, it's really going to start pouring in. I see people coming down the stairs now, and in time, we're going to see. But I do think that Milan can be, I think they have surprises in them. I think that they do have a decent squad. We see Fofana, can he be a difference maker? And I think that there's other players around this squad who might, like even Pulisic, and try to rise above and show, like, no, we are serious players. And I think that for Leao in particular, Lorenzo, this is a really big match, because over the past 18 months, I think that there has been a question mark over Rafael Leao. Whereas 2-3 years ago, he seemed like the biggest thing, the biggest player, easily the most dangerous attacker in Serie A. But now he's almost become, there's a question mark over his head. Is he legitimate? Is he elite? I saw a post on X the other day, and people say a lot of different things on X, but one thing that I read was that Leao is the best winger in Serie A, or maybe even someone actually said the world, like a left winger, best in the world, or Serie A, whatever it was. But I think both of those are false. And now I think that his job is going to be to actually prove, how do you do that in a derby? You come in, you show up, and you put a big game, and you take players one-on-one, and you're decisive. So going into today, my question mark is over Leao, because I think if he's going to show it now in his mid-20s, this is the absolute time. And in fact, you're probably a few months too late, Leao, because who knows what could have happened this past summer. So for me, there's a lot to prove from his perspective, Lorenzo.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was another interview this week with Capello, and he said everything that happens at Milan seems to be Leao's fault. So whatever Milan do, if it's bad, it's Leao's fault. If it's good, it's Leao's merit. And he's doing nothing to change this, because basically he was the best Serie A player when Milan won the title now 3 years ago. But he struggled to be consistent at that level over the last couple of years. He wasn't that player in every game, because the feeling Milan players have, and we have as media as well, is that it just takes 20-15 minutes maybe in Serie A for him to make the difference. He's so quick, he's so technically gifted that he just needs 2 or 3 runs in one game and he can make the difference. But he doesn't always do that. So that's the big issue with Leao. And of course, it's in this big game where he has to stand up and say, look, I'm one of the best players in Serie A. I'm one of those players who is going to make the difference in every game, in every big game, because this is what people expect from him. And maybe what he does off the pitch has an impact as well. The fact that he says he doesn't want to stay in football afterwards, the fact that he says he has other interests beyond football, which is legitimate, but some pundits, some fans, some media, they don't like it when it comes to when he does a bad performance. Then they might just say, look, he's not focused on football, he's thinking about something different. But it's not the case, because he's a football player and he wants to give his best for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that concerns me when you talk about a player having other focuses. Like you have 5, 10 years, maybe 15 years maximum to go improve yourself. Like, you got your hobbies, that stuff comes later in life. I'm sorry, but you're a footballer, it's different. This is not the days of George Best, where players can go out and do, well, those are some illegal activities, but actually have other interests. They have to be 100% focused. They have to live, breathe, and eat football. So you're a professional, you're paid millions of dollars per year. So for me, that's like concerning about your professionalism, about your attitude. Then I have to wonder, then even bigger question marks go over that player's head. But thanks for tuning in, guys. This is the Football Italia pre-stream of the Derby della Madonnina. Please write in your comments. Let me know what you think. Lorenzo is on the ground in the San Siro. He's going to be heading in probably 15 minutes or so. But from Inter's side, Lorenzo, we're looking at a player of Marcus Thuram. This is a very impressive
I can
striker.
hear a lot of noise behind me. I think it's a lot of boos, so I think Milan started the warm-up.
Yeah, that sounds about right. A reminder that Inter is, in fact, the home team for today.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to be expecting a remarkable tifo, as usual, something with the snake. And forget the actual name of the snake. Something with a B. You would remember.
Biscione.
Yeah, Biscione. And I'm sure it's going to be something remarkable today. So I'm interested to see what the stadium's actually like. We heard even when they were in Manchester, the Inter fans were out singing those actually in the Manchester City Stadium. And that just shows you what support is like in Italian football. It's very different. The San Siro, compared to anything, you could pick any stadium in England, it's going to be totally different. There's going to be such a raucous, such a powerful atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of Inter, Lorenzo, Marcus Thuram has scored in both of his derbies last year. He's got, I think, 6 goal interventions in his first 4 of the Serie A season so far. We always talk about Lautaro Martinez. He had his best year ever last season, but it's very hard to compare. Who is the bigger threat for Inter, do you think, between the two of them? I think Lorenzo froze a little bit. But anyways, he comes back towards us. I was just asking him about that threat versus Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. 2 of them, they're going to be impressive players tonight. I think you've got to watch out for them both in the starting lineup. We've got other players we really want to watch out for. Hopefully we get Lorenzo back in here soon and that Wi-Fi improves. I don't think it's me. But for the meantime, guys, let me know what you're thinking. Write in your comments and let me see what you got going on. Let me see what you got. This is the Football Italia pre-stream. Looks like we got a little bit of a issue with Lorenzo's connection. I'm going to blame it on Lorenzo. Let's see who it really is. But while he comes back into view, I'll just keep going. I'll tell you a little bit more about this match. So we'll wait till he comes back in here. But I am live at Football Factory. This is the Milan club. And fans are starting to come in. It's starting to get a good atmosphere. He'll be back in here anytime soon. But I think that this is really Inter's to lose. This is going to be 7, could be 7 on the trot. That's not good. I don't want to even say that too loud here at the Milan club. But what this could represent for Inter is the polar opposite of what we have now for Milan. Milan is almost going through another banter era when it comes to just derbies alone. And it pains me to say that because they've invested a lot. They've gone through different ownership changes. And here they are with Captain America and other impressive players like Leao. They just signed Morata in a big money move. They've got Tammy Abraham, who of course has just joined the team. Brahim Diaz is a very good player. I think that he has been kind of underutilized this past season. And defensively, they're sound. Like Tomori is there and Theo Hernandez. I'm just going to check real quick what Lorenzo said. I think his service failed a little bit. He's trying to connect in here, and I'll jump back into the live stream. And I'm going to reconnect here. So, guys, let me know what you think. And Lorenzo's going to be right back in here. And we got him at the stage. Lorenzo,
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Connection is highs and lows because there's still a lot of people coming in. And by the way, while I wasn't connected, Inter started the warm-up. So there were a lot of chants for Çalhanoğlu and against Çalhanoğlu, of course, from Milan fans. That's, I mean, the big thing that happened while I wasn't connected, while I was trying to reconnect, and yeah. So right now the teams are warming up inside the stadium right behind me, and yeah, I mean, I mentioned Çalhanoğlu, and I think he's one of those players we need to talk about, isn't it? Because I mean, he's among the Ballon d'Or nominees. Ex-Milan player, he has changed so much since he was playing at Milan. It's always about Çalhanoğlu when it comes to the Milan derby, because he meant so much for Milan and Inter in good and bad ways. I mean, it's one of those players that as he said as well, will always create controversy, will always do something meaningful. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure he's playing a big role. He's playing a big role tonight for Inter because he's always done it in big games.
yeah, the fact that he's got this history where he was a Milan player and he leaves for free, then he goes on and has such an impressive spell with Inter so far. He's become the beating heart of that team. He's not just the heart, he's also the brains. Çalhanoğlu has transformed since his days at Milan, where I didn't find him all that remarkable, but under Inzaghi, he's kicked into a higher gear. It seems that this manager really knows where his best strengths are. And I think that's been one key area where Inzaghi really deserves praise, where we have to start mentioning him into some of the best coaches around. There's so much attention that goes on to other managers like even Thiago Motta, but Inzaghi made that jump after Lazio and has been so impressive with Inter. And yes, he has a bigger budget. Yes, he has better players, but he's had issues in the past. Like last year, he's gone from sometimes playing a higher press into I think I remember there was a situation where the players were like, "Nah, this isn't working out. We got to start doing something else. We got to go back to our counter attack." And he just finds a way. He's a real football brain. So I think that he really needs to start being mentioned in like who are the hottest managers right now. That's Xabi Alonso, like I mentioned, Thiago Motta in this new wave. So I think that he's probably the better of the two tonight, even though Fonseca does have Serie A experience. So under Çalhanoğlu, let's see how that really impacts this match too, because Milan has a very changing and evolving midfield, Lorenzo.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. I mean, for sure they have the best midfield in Serie A because it's not only about the quality; it's about the depth that they have. I mean, on Wednesday, Zielinski started against Manchester City, and it looked like he has been playing for Inter forever, but he just joined in the summer. And Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan wasn't playing. He's coming back in the starting lineup tonight. Again, it's not only about the quality; it's about the depth that Inter have. But again, what we were saying at the beginning, these games defy logic sometimes. They not necessarily follow, logic. It's not.
Form.
Sometimes they just don't. Yeah, it's not necessarily the most in shape team that wins this game. So it's just.
Yeah, as they say, form goes out the window.
Can happen. The feeling is that anything can happen. If you use logic, we say Inter's going to win. But when you go there inside, anything can really happen.
It's a different thing. You never know how cards might even influence this match. One red card, players going on 2 yellows, tempers are flaring, people are very excited how they control one another. And now I'm seeing on the screen, there's a certain tension that builds around this match. Even though it's not like, this isn't a violent derby, where in the past, like there's a certain level of respect, I think, between the two clubs in Milan. But on the pitch, it's a different story. Theo Hernandez, he's surely going to have a problem with somebody tonight. Thuram is not going to take anyone's nonsense or garbage. And there's definitely going to be 1 or 2 instances where all of the players come together, especially because this is the first one of the season. It's early on. Inter could make this 7 in a row, 7 derbies in a row when you consider the Champions League too. And I think the goal differential right now, Lorenzo, is 14-2. So Milan needs to start scoring some goals in these derbies. Yeah, that's an impressive one. What's your timeline look like, Lorenzo? Are you going in the stadium soon?
Yeah, going inside the stadium in 5 minutes, follow the game, cover the match, and then go back in here. We do the live stream, and then we have all the post-match reactions on Football Italia. We have player ratings, and yeah, it's going to be a long night, but I feel it's going to be a long week as well, because there are, of course, no Champions League next week, but there is Europa League with Roma and Lazio. But whatever happens tonight, there's going to be a lot of reactions, because if Milan lose, we probably know the consequence for the coach. Yeah. If Inter lose, probably a whole new season starts for both sides, especially Milan, and a draw is going to settle things a little bit because Corriere dello Sport wrote this week that even a draw is not enough for Fonseca to save his job. Of course, a lot will depend on the performance. There are a lot of ifs if this game ends in a draw when it comes to Fonseca's future. But let's see, for sure it's going to be a huge one that on paper can be a season changer already.
Lorenzo, I just want to give you a look at what the club actually looks like as people are coming in. Take myself off screen for a minute. We've got a few,
Nice
probably
one.
about 20, 25 people, and we're still 45 minutes out. And we've got this beautiful banner here that Milan's got. And so there's all scarves and memorabilia here. It's very cool spot to watch a match in New York City. So one thing we're trying to do, guys, at Football Italia is to bring everybody closer to the match. Lorenzo is actually on site in Italy. I'm on site as much as we can be in North America, in New York, at the Milan Club in Football Factory at Legends. If you've never been here, right by Empire State Building. And during halftime, a little after this, I'm going to be going over to the Inter Club to get some footage for our post-match reaction later. And guys, let us know how you think we're doing. This is going to be a consistent thing. Lorenzo and I will be teaming up, perhaps with a few others every now and then, to do these reactions. And it's an amazing thing that we actually have a reporter on site. But one last comment I want to throw at you, Lorenzo, and it goes back to the match itself. We speak about form going out the window and how this could be anybody's match. I just want to mention that Milan, aside from their poor form, just won big against Venezia, and Inter, as much as we speak about their form, just drew and also played midweek. I mean, both teams played midweek. So could fatigue play a part in it? Could form really be just pointless and we don't even talk about it anymore? But so I think that there's a lot of question marks and it's not a straightforward match at all.
Yeah, I mean, Milan, on paper, they had one more day to prepare for the game because they played Tuesday at home and Inter played on Wednesday in England. So they came back Wednesday night and they prepared for the game with one fewer day than Milan. But Inter, they have a deeper squad. Lautaro starting on the bench, Pavard starting on the bench, Mkhitaryan starting on the bench. Di Marco wasn't even available because he had a slight musical injury, and tonight they all start. So
Yeah,
they didn't have the same time that Milan because it's one day, I would even say 1 day and a half because they returned from England on Wednesday night. But it's a deeper squad and a team with more quality. Again, if we follow logic, Inter is going to win and Milan are going to change their coach. But this game defy logic sometimes. So let's see what happens.
all right, one key player for each team. Let's start with the home team. Who is going to be Inter's key player of the match?
I'll go with Marcus Thuram.
Thuram, nice one. I'm going to go with Pavard. I think that he's going to have some type of influence, whether it's a big defensive action or getting in on the goals. I don't know, something tells me Pavard. I really like that player. I liked what I saw when he played internationally, and then he went to Bayern Munich. Inter signed him in a big money move. I think he's got what it takes to really like cement himself as now like, oh, okay, I'm a Nerazzurri player. I'm legit. I'm here. Like, I'm not just like a fringe player. But for Milan, I'll go first. I'm going to say, I think it's going to be Tammy Abraham again, for better or worse. I think he's going to be either really bad or I think he's going to score a goal. It's not going to be an in-between. It's not going to be like he had 2-3 chances. It's going to be like either he misses a glancing header and ruins the match or he's going to score in the 90th minute.
I go with the easiest choice probably is Christian Pulisic, who's been the best Milan player so far, probably the only good news for Milan so far. So let's go for Christian Pulisic, even if tonight's role is a little bit different because being a winger in a 4-4-2 is not like being a winger in a 4-2-3-1. So it's probably more defensive duties. It's going to be a little bit different tactically for Pulisic, but he's been the best Milan player so far. So I'll go for him tonight.
Cool. All right, you going to head into the stadium?
I am.
All right.
I am going inside. So yeah, we talked during the post stream. Thank you very much for being there. Thanks to all the fans who follow Serie A in there and worldwide. And I'll see you again for the post-match thing.
See everybody for the post match.
Bye.